If you want to make your competitors happy, do nothing.
If I were to suggest a thing for small businesses to stop doing in 2026, it would be to stop cheaping out on your marketing investment.
If you're not taking advantage of CRM than your competitor is, they're just going to kill you.
Not literally, people, not literally, we hope. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. I'm Ian Cantle from Outsource Marketing and Dental Marketing Heroes, and today I am joined by Ken Tucker and Paul Barthel from Chainscape Web. And Jeff Steck is off-site today. He will join back with us next week, so we'll miss him in this conversation, but maybe he'll pop in some comments later and we can pop them into the recording. Today's big question: what is one marketing strategy every small business needs to do to win in 2026? Each of us is bringing our top pick and maybe picks, why it matters, and the simple way to get started. Plus, we might do some rapid fire insights if there's time as well, some additional ones. So listening to this episode will help you cut through the marketing noise, focus on what's actually working for small businesses as we move into 2026, and walk away with a practical strategy for you to implement right away so you can start to experience real growth in your business. So I wanted to ask you guys, and I'm just opening up to both of you, but we'll start with Ken. What's your one big marketing strategy that you think every small business should be looking at or they need to embrace in 2026?
Yeah, well, I think it's an AI-informed, marketing strategy-driven, omni-channel implementation approach.
Is there an acronym for that, Ken?
There probably could be. But, you've got to embrace AI. Don't run and hide from it. It's here. It's not going to go away. Take advantage of it and learn how to use it in an effective way for your business. And if you don't know how to do that, find somebody who can help you kind of be the AI Sherpa for you to implement it into your business. But it's so important, and it's such a valuable tool. It's not perfect, right? But it's a great brainstorming tool. It can pull from great frameworks. It can accelerate everything. Content creation, identifying your ideal customer profiles, writing your voice so that you can train the rest of your AI, writing and content creation tools. Now, everything has to be human vetted, but I think we're to the point now where if you're not doing the omni-channel stuff, you're really at the mercy of a paid ad strategy or a referral marketing based strategy. For almost every business, it's just getting to the point where, in order for you to be found in the changing landscape of search, which is not rolled down to the local search community quite yet, but it's coming. And guess what? Even if it hasn't impacted the number of clicks and the way searches are operating right now, if you go ahead and you get implementation of the right things to create what we call AEO, you're only going to be ahead of your competitors because it's the good quality stuff you should have been doing all along anyway. And so I mean, there's a whole lot to that. I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, but that's where really what I'm looking at is, how can you use AI and an agentic model to build efficiencies into the process, while every step of the way you have human vetted expertise and implementation oversight.
Yeah. And when I hear that, Ken, the one thing that comes to mind is, originally when AI started to take over from a content perspective, it was because marketers were using it to create content, right? We were the tip of the spear of that because we were looking for efficiencies. And so we were using really the marketing strategies to guide the development of content through AI. And I think that still needs to happen, although you can try to fast track that. And you might we've talked about the mushy middle before, where you can get mediocre content really, really fast and really, really easily through AI. But when I hear you talking about, human vetted, talk a little bit about, ideally who that would be, because one of the things I do get a sense of is that the pendulum is swinging back a bit, in that business owners have tried embracing AI, just the trend of creating stuff in ChatGPT mainly, right? Because that's the easiest, most accessible one, most popular one. And so they've created content, but they don't, for the most part, the feedback I'm hearing is they don't really know like what makes a really good SEO driven blog post or article. They can ask ChatGPT that, but again, they're getting kind of this mushy middle, this mediocrity. But then how can they then determine what's a good piece of content and what's not a good piece of content for human consumption and SEO purposes?
Yeah, so I think step one is you have to hire a marketing consultant who understands AI and all of the things that you should have in your toolbox that you can pull from to build the right program and system for your business. So, that I think the best model for that is some kind of a fractional chief marketing officer role. They can now, but it's not just chief marketing officer. They also have to have chief AI officer expertise. They've got to have that combination. There are a lot of people out there floating around who are probably quite good at doing the traditional, chief marketing officer role, but they haven't been able to stay up to date. Maybe have even run away from AI. You don't want those people. You need somebody who can help you pick the right set of tools and then also help you vet and review and analyze the performance of what you're getting. So the other thing that I think is really important is on the back end, you need to be prepared to hire a company or a person who is trained in the expertise that of whatever you're having the AI produce. So, for example, if you're having somebody write AI blog posts with SEO built into them, you really look, that's all fine and dandy. You can write the best SEO'd blog post on the planet, but if it's not the right keyword phrase that makes sense for your business, and you don't have the supporting structure in place with the right website and internal links and yada, 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 it's useless. So you've got to have that combination of SEO and editing expertise, because the quality, chances are pretty good that the quality is going to be pretty solid if you've trained it properly, if you've gone through the process of giving it the voice of your business. I think the other thing that's really important, when we talk about EEAT, is you've got to factor in how do you build in the expertise and authority pieces if you're using AI to write the content for your business. And so we're actually really excited because we're going to be launching, an interview-driven approach to feed the AI to create the content so that it gets that owner or expert level content baked into the articles that are written, and then, using tools that we've spent a lot of time vetting and reviewing the output to make sure that the SEO structure that's in place is really solid. So I think it's important to, you got to find a way to keep your business human, to keep your personality and your expertise included in that. But I think you got to have somebody who's driving that train, who knows what's required in today's world. And it's both the chief marketing officer level expertise, but it's also somebody who knows how to use and implement the right set of AI solutions, and then put together the review team, and the implementation team. And those are much lighter than they probably have ever needed to be. So that's kind of the good news. The tool sets honestly, when you stack all these together, they're actually quite expensive. And in order to drive the tools properly, it requires a lot of training and expertise to do that. It's not just push a button or type in a simple prompt, copy and paste, and you're done. There's a whole lot more to it. But what's great about it is the volume of content that can be produced. This is both the good side and the bad side. The good side is you can produce the volume of content and that you might need to really outrank a competitor in a way that you've never been able to do before. The bad news is you can produce that same amount of content that's just absolute crap and does nothing for you, faster and easier than you've ever been able to do, and cheaper. So it's just because the tool set's here, and look, don't run away. I know it could be scary. I know it may be intimidating for a lot of people, but when it comes to the marketing side of things, AI is actually a huge friend to every business who takes advantage of it, done properly.
Yeah. It's interesting. You said that you need a fractional CMO, like somebody to manage your marketing, but they also need to be an AI officer, and that you don't want a fractional CMO without that. I would also contend you wouldn't want the AI officer without the fractional CMO, because then they're just good at a tool and not very smart on the marketing side.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to fall into the classic tool vendor problem that marketing has had for decades. People fall trap to people who are just literally tool vendors, and they've worked really hard to build sexy presentations. They know how to glam things up. They know how to, pull the right statistics to make their case look really, really great. And oftentimes it's not even a relevant industry that they're pulling those numbers from, but God, everything looks so darn good, and they're just so slick at communicating. It's like, it's got to work for me too, right? Don't fall into that trap.
Yeah. The other things that popped into mind when you were chatting about kind of that process, right? How AI can be integrated into that content creation process, was the analytics side, I think, is still so vital. And you alluded to that, just that if you don't have the analytics at the front end, meaning which keywords should we be targeting, which gaps do we have in the marketplace versus our competition? How do we know which content to create and what targets to do as far as keywords and topics? And then on the back end of once you've launched it, how do you know if your content is successfully ranking you in SEO and search engines and AI? And then in the middle, one of the things, I'm sure you guys have encountered this a lot in the past, but I used to see this all the time where, somebody would say, I had a professional build my website. They weren't very good at SEO, but we got Yoast, so it's all good now. We installed Yoast, and then they pay us to go in and take a look at it, and we take a look at it, and we're like, okay, you got the software, but the software doesn't magically do the optimization. You have to know what you're doing. It's just a tool. And
Right.
So I always find that interesting too, that the content creation is a vital part, and it's probably the biggest part in there. But if you don't frame it with those other elements, your content, no matter how much content you create, is not going to perform very well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Mr. Paul, what is the one marketing strategy every small business needs to embrace in 2026?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
We talk about strategy first, and that's true. And Ken alluded to some of what I'm going to talk about as well. But you can't implement strategy without a tool set and the tech stack. And sure, there's free tools out there, and most of them suck. And even if you buy a good tool set, like Ken said, it's expensive, and it's only as good as a person using it. So, but I think what Kim was kind of getting at is what I would call an AI-powered omni-channel presence, because you don't know where all of your prospects are all the time. They can be all over the place. So they may be searching in ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini, whatever. They may be on social searching. They may be on Google Maps. They might be using traditional search. That's still the big one. And we've talked about this in the past, that AI assistant search is a small percentage. But what's impressive is how fast it's growing. And I'm not saying it's going to take over Google next month, but it's growing fast, and you simply can't ignore it. And getting talked about content creation, and again, you have to know. It's like anything AI, garbage in, garbage out, and content creation is the same way. If you're not creating content around the correct keywords, then you're not going to get good content. And you have to have content silos. This was a big thing a while back, and then it kind of went away because some of the changes Google did to their algorithms, and now it's a big deal again, is that you create content silos around specific keywords, but then you have to interlink that content so that Google knows that this content is related to this service and this content is related to this service. And you can't have orphan pages. So, but the big thing behind all this to me is distribution. You have to because Google wants brand mentions now. Google wants authority. They want expertise, and they look all across the web. They look beyond your website now. I'm not saying your website is important, but Google looks all over the web at thousands of different websites and platforms, and looking at where your brand is mentioned, who it's mentioned by, what they're saying about you. That goes back to trust. That's why social is becoming important again. So the idea of, well, I have a website, so I'm all good. Well, 15 years ago, that kind of worked. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, you need an integrated approach to show up where everybody is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having a website is a prerequisite.
Definitely.
For every business, for sure. And there are, look, there are still businesses that are just happy with referral marketing, and word of mouth marketing, and because they don't want to grow, they just want to sustain, that's all fine and dandy. But if you're not that, which is where the overwhelming majority of the rest of the businesses are, what Paul said is right.
Yeah. Yeah. The what I was going to share was I think our mindsets are all in the same place, right? What I wanted to share was really about, having a strategy first multi-channel approach or omni-channel approach to marketing. Because one of the things I've noticed and being data driven in that is that, again, the pendulum is, it always swings from a human behavior standpoint. I see like tons of people going one direction and then suddenly they're like, you know what? It didn't actually save me time. It made me do more work because now I'm the doer. Right. And so we see this all the time with tools, and we have for years, where people think the tools are the solution, but the tools aren't the solution. The tools are tools to accomplish an end goal. And so, maybe there will come a time where, agentic AI will get to the point where you can say, run me an SEM rush report on the latest data of search on Google, Bing, and AI search engines, right? And then come back to me and tell me where I stand against my competition, and then create a strategy, and then take that strategy, create the content, put it on my website, right? We're an awfully long way from that. Still, we're still in the wild west of how this technology is being used. If anybody thinks that there's a clear winner of which AI engine is going to be the winner, it's not even close, right? ChatGPT is winning right now as far as usage, but Google's winning as far as search volume. So Google will not relent and release their dominance in the marketplace easily. And I heard a stat yesterday about the quality and the quantity of people using YouTube now on smart TVs. It's the most used channel, like meaning everything. So people aren't even using smart TVs to watch regular, cable channels anymore. They're using YouTube for the most part, which I thought was a fascinating stat that had just come out on a podcast I was listening to last night. But I think if you can bring a strategy first approach that is directed and dictates what you do and how you do it from a marketing perspective, this is not new at all. This is stuff we've been talking about for years. But it is the soundest approach to doing marketing. And if you can find somebody to guide you through that process and then either oversee, manage, or actually do the implementation of your marketing strategy, you will get much better results than trying to ad hoc it yourself or have somebody on your team who doesn't really have expertise in it to part-time it. We see that an awful lot where, you might have a receptionist or somebody in your business who, 50% of their time is not really called for yet. And they might have a social media interest. And so they get funneled into this marketing stream. But we often see that being kind of a formula for disaster.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Going back to tool sets and knowing how to use them, you had talked about someone you would talk to and we have Yoast now, so everything's good. And I just thought, I remember this was several years ago, had a conversation with someone that thought that when you were using Yoast, if you put a keyword into Yoast and told Yoast that you wanted this piece of content, this blog post page, whatever, to rank for this keyword, that Yoast was telling Google that that's what it should rank for. And it's like, no, that's not what's happening.
Yeah. It's like the blind leading the blind a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the most recent stats I came across, there was a study that was done and they sent out the report, I believe it was last week, where they were talking about actual AI usage. And this was the first report I'd seen of this, because we've all certainly heard about the volume of ChatGPT and some other platforms, their usage and how that trend is going to dominate certain things. This was an actual quantifiable study and survey that they did, where they were actually able to say the breakdown of how people are using the AI tools right now. And in large part, it was I think it was like 70 to 80% was just using it for content creation. So that's become very, very big. So writing, like helping write stuff. And then the other side of it, in much smaller quantities, was getting questions answered, right? Just general questions about life, products, services, businesses, whatever. And then when they got to like actually trying to find like businesses to work with, it was minuscule, like it like a 1% or something like that. So for small businesses, this is important to keep in mind, that you have to be where the people are searching. And so right now that's on Google. But you have to be preparing and equipping the platforms you control in order to guide the AIs to also find you. So as an example, we're working on a website rebuild for a client. One of the things they have is a whole bunch of PDFs for their business, related to press releases, products, that kind of stuff. Google sometimes scans PDFs, not all the time, but it's not nearly as good as having that content as a post or a page on your website, because you can't interlink the same way. Google doesn't look at it the same way. And then from an AI search standpoint, most of them don't even look at PDFs yet. And so, these are the important things to understand, that, and you also have less control over what the AIs do with the information. So take that all into account. Like go where the prospective customers are, do all the things you possibly can do to send the right signals to Google and to the AI engines. And that's how you're going to win long term.
Bing Places is important again.
Yeah, because which one's pulling in Bing? Is it ChatGPT?
ChatGPT.
And Perplexity.
Yeah, Perplexity does too. So yeah, you do a search and I don't mean asking them a question, searching for a business or whatever. ChatGPT and Perplexity, you're going to get Bing search results.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And part of that, of course, is because Microsoft is a partial owner of OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT, right? So it makes sense, right? Yeah. All right. I think this is going to be a fun one. So we talked about strategy. Now, what's one marketing tool you think? Actually, before we go to the tool, is there like a very specific tactic that you think probably most businesses should be looking at for this coming year? Like something small that you think is kind of a gold nugget for people? And then we'll move into the tool question.
Yeah, for my mind, it's short form video.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on camera. You can do these faceless videos. They can be completely AI generated. They actually outperform most of the time people with them. You can also have a faceless video where you have an AI spokesperson, on the video, but they're not a real person. That's also considered to be faceless, I suppose, because it's not any real human that has to get in front of a camera. Right now was Amy Porterfield last week sent out a message. I'm on her email list because she has a wealth of knowledge. And the top performing piece of content right now on the entire web is the 6-second Instagram short video. So, but short form video, we diss TikTok a lot, and TikTok as a tool and a channel for most of the businesses we work with probably isn't the right solution. But TikTok has, right, for local businesses, has had a bigger impact in the way the world is working in terms of findability than AI driven search is right now for local businesses. And the reason I say that is because search really has kind of, over the last couple of years, decade, really, it was search, like on a search engine like Google or Bing, reaching your followers and trying to build your followers through like social channels. But TikTok flipped everything around, and it actually generated an algorithm based on what people were engaging with and what they were enjoying and watching. And so there's now a new discoverability element called the For You element based on how you interact with pieces of content. And so that third dimension is really best satisfied right now through short form video, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Facebook Reels, of course, TikTok, if that's what you want to do and it makes sense for your business. Even on LinkedIn.
And you want China to steal your information.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's in Larry Ellison's hands now.
Yeah, okay.
But I think
I have some oceanfront property in Iowa I can sell you.
Oh, cool. I look forward to seeing that. Yeah, but I think, short form video, video content works really well because humans remember video and they remember visuals better than they typically remember words. It just sticks better with us. And with a video, even if it's a 30 or 60 second video, you can tell a little story. And we remember stories more deeply than we remember almost any other piece of content. So, I think every business needs to have a video marketing strategy. And right now, the best performing type of video content is short form video, portrait style, not landscape, like you're looking at your TV. It's like you're looking at your phone. That's the orientation you want your video for these short form videos. And the beauty of it is you don't have to get on camera. You don't even have to read the words. You can have AI narrate the entire thing, and it sounds it sounds as good or better than you would, honestly, because all of us have ums and ahs and stuff like that takes a lot of cost and effort to edit out. Even if there are automated tools, it still sounds a little glitchy. So yeah, I mean, that's what I would say is it's a simple, fairly cost-effective, let me say it, a relatively cheap tool to really make a pretty big impact in your visibility.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the one thing I find when I see, it really pops out to me when I see AI created faceless videos, meaning they're AI avatars of a real person. I still haven't seen them done well enough yet where it captures kind of, and maybe this is the whole point, it doesn't capture the humanness of the person. Like there's a deadness to it that I find very troubling when I see them, because at first I'm like, oh, hey, it's that person. And then I'm like, oh, like there's almost like, I think you have to use it carefully still, and that understand too that it's so new, right? Like, 6 months ago we weren't even really talking about it. It was there, but it was almost like seeing a puppet move its like, I remember you guys, like, I know I looked at it a year and a half ago and it was horrible, and now it's pretty slick, but there's still something about it that especially if you're trying to create authenticity, you got to be super careful with, I think.
Yeah, but we've even been doing videos for our clients and even for ourselves, where it's like fantasy and superhero, because that's a scroll stopper. It gets people's attention because they're like, ooh, what's this alien?
That's pretty cool.
Or what's this superhero saying, and you can use the AI voice that has that, that dramatic, in the land of, blah, 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 and for dramatic effect. And so, even though a lot of short videos, most people probably consume those initially with the volume off, because they're on their phone. They don't want to get busted, or they're in a public place. They don't want everybody to hear what's going on. But yeah, but they all are captioned too. So, which is great too, because if you're concerned about reaching an audience that has, any kind of hearing impairment, you've got captioning that's going on in the videos as well.
Yeah. Cool. What about you?
You know what else is a scroll stopper? AI generated headless images.
True.
I don't know if I've seen those.
You haven't seen that? I was using AI to generate some images, and it was like a construction crew in front of a building, and one of the people had no head.
Oh my goodness. So funny thing on this topic, I actually saw it was a joke ad that popped up today on Facebook, and it was fake fingers, so that if you're a criminal of any kind, you can wear this fake finger on top of your other real fingers. And so it makes it look like you have that you're a six-fingered man or woman. And so then you can use the fact that whatever proof they have of you on film or camera, that it was AI generated. I thought that was the funniest thing, because AI has had this bad habit of adding fingers, limbs, yeah, or losing heads,
yeah,
or a hand with no arm,
but or extra hands. Right? I've seen that one as well.
3 arms. But back to your question, I think it's going to come down, or one of the things is going to be content distribution beyond your website and your social media channels. Because
so talk a little bit about that, Paul. Like what do you mean by that, just for people that might not have an idea of what that means?
Well, there are tools out there, and they're not cheap. We've been using it for a little bit now, but it will take your content, no matter how you generate it. And what it does, it takes an article, it creates a podcast, it creates an infographic, it creates a video, and it creates a news article, and then it pushes this content out to over 300 different websites and platforms. And Google crawls all this stuff. And AI, or the ChatGPT, they're aware of all this stuff. And it builds authority, and it builds trust, and it builds expertise, which is what Google's been talking about for about the past almost a year now, is they want brand mentions. We've said this a million times. They want brand mentions. They want authority signals, and that's what that does for you.
Yeah. There's always this danger of merging strategies with tactics, but the one I wanted to mention, because it comes up like so often, but it is kind of integrated into your strategy, but it's just pure differentiation. Like, how are you differing your business from all your competitors? I think this is probably the most underutilized and biggest gap in the marketplace for any small business. Like, if when we do audits, you guys probably do stuff like this too, where you pull up, a a client's website when you first start working with them, or they might even be a prospect, and then you share like, here's your 3 top competitors. Let's talk about the difference or the lack of difference in these, where you're just creating this vanilla landscape of mushy content. Like, people just look at them and they're like, okay, you're a dentist, you're a dentist, you're a dentist, you're a dentist. How do I choose? And you're not giving people a point of differentiation of that resonates with their heart and their mind, right? So I think that's a really underutilized thing. And no matter what strategy, technology, anything, like you have to weave this core difference throughout everything you do, every type of communication, every ad, every video. And I just think people need to invest in this more than they have in the past, because I think it's so necessary.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, the fun topic. Tools. What tool do you think every small business would benefit from embracing in 2026?
CRM. I've said it a million times.
And talk a little bit more about it in case somebody hasn't listened to the podcast before.
What does CRM stand for, Paul?
What it really stands for? Because I have all kinds of acronyms. They're probably not PG. Customer Relationship Management System.
Well, that sounds important.
Yeah.
We have talked about this in the past, and I don't know how you run a business these days without one, but a good one can do all kinds of things. It's not just an electronic Rolodex. And I think a lot of people have that idea because years ago, that's what they were, really. But now
some still are.
What's that?
And some still are.
Yeah, some still are. But the good ones that have moved out of the 1850s, they can do automations and workflows, and a lot of them have AI solutions, AI tools integrated into them. I mean, some of them you can put in a prompt and it will generate a workflow, which is usually a pretty good starting point. I mean, I've never seen it be perfect, but it's a pretty good starting point. But
it's a little like having a colleague that's helping you create something, right?
Right.
They might not be like the highest expert, but it's a junior person that can help you get the workflow started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it can all these redundant things that you used to have an office person do, follow-up emails, reminder emails, they can book appointments for you. If they have a calendar functionality and AI integrated with them, they can actually, if someone calls or engages with a chatbot, it can actually book an appointment for you. They can do self-booking. You can put a calendar on your website and do self-booking, and it puts all that information right into the CRM, collects the contact data, creates the contact. A lot of them integrate with other things. We have a painter that uses something called Paint Scout. So we use Zapier. So when they do something in Paint Scout, it kicks off a zap that triggers an action in the CRM that we use. So if you're not taking advantage of this stuff and your competitor is, and I guarantee you one or more of them is, they're just going to kill you.
Not literally, people. Not literally, we hope.
Well, they might. No.
Unless you're in the weapons business or something.
Yeah.
But I love that topic, Paul. I think we're all in agreement that your CRM is now becoming more a part of your business operating system than almost anything else, right? Regardless of, what practice management software you're using in your clinic or, and if you don't have these multiple systems, it's even simpler. But, one of the things I've noticed too is that the biggest hindrance to people utilizing CRM systems and marketing automation systems is not even the tool itself. It's the onboarding, it's the uptake, it's the human behavior aspect of this is a tool. The tool's going to continue to evolve. So you need to train your team how to use it now. But that training needs to be ongoing and continuous, because if you want to keep leveraging those tools as best as possible for your business and for your team, you really need to keep up with things. Because I know we all use the same CRM system and marketing automation system because we love it. And like every month we're getting this truckload of new technologies and new features and benefits out of it. But if you don't stay up with them, and if you don't use them, which is really what it comes down to, you've got this piece of software that could be helping you in tremendous ways that's not helping you, and then it becomes a boat anchor or a Rolodex that you're not using.
Every month, when's the last time you were in there? Every
I know,
every week there's something that changes.
It's true. When I'm on the treadmill, I always watch them do the releases on Fridays. So, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's something and that's not just the CRM we use. That's any modern CRM there, because things are changing so fast that they have to stay up with current trends, and they have to update things, and
yeah,
it's just the world we live in.
I do find though, because we're not supporting as many other CRM systems as we used to, because the one we do use has become so omni-channel, everywhere channel, right? That the power of it far exceeds any of the other big name tools that we were using or our clients were using. And, moving our clients over seems to be, other than the pain of moving from one CRM to another, and the migration of everything involved, the reasons for doing it just seem to be getting bigger and bigger, because not every software company has the the one we use is driven by agencies and supported. The only people that actually have subscriptions are agencies. So the company that builds it is so intent on keeping the agencies happy, because that's where all the clients come from, right? So it's a pretty powerful ecosystem.
And a lot of the features are driven by ideas. That they have an idea board, and so it's really focused on what in this case, agencies, what do our users need to get the most out of this? And that's really what drives the innovation behind it.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Ken, did you answer the tool question? Go ahead. Sorry, I blacked out. I got so excited about CRM systems.
Yeah, well, I agree with Paul, and the CRM should have, and many of them don't, but you should have an AI assistant, an AI phone assistant, and an AI chatbot on your website, because speed to lead is maybe the most critical thing that businesses are missing right now. It's staggering when you're dealing with small businesses. I placed a call, a couple of weeks ago to get some service at my house. The response I got on a personal cell phone was, "We'll get back to you within 36 to 48 hours." And I didn't even get a call back then. And this is a person that I know, not well, I've met, as in a business meeting. Guess what? I'll never give that person another opportunity, and I'll never consider referring that person. And I'm not alone in this. We live in a world where people don't want hassle. They, look at the usage of deliveries from Amazon, from Walmart, Instacart, DoorDash. People, they just want easy. They want the easy button because life is hard right now. Ever since COVID, everything is weird. It's different. Workflows, supply chains, everything has just got schmucked up, and nothing is really fully normalized yet. But people got spoiled because they were able to take advantage, and there was a wide adoption of these tools that gave people the fast and the easy button. And so now that's the expectation rather than the norm. So if you can't afford to miss a single phone call, and if you want to have a live receptionist answer the phone, great, fantastic. But you can set up an AI answering system as a backup to where if the phone isn't answered within a certain amount of time, your AI is going to answer that, and it's going to do a great job, and probably even a better job than the person who is answering the phone initially, at answering the majority of the questions that people are asking. And it's sure a hell of a lot better than these horrible phone tree systems that you have to listen. Ian, you're in an industry where it's horrible. The medical industry is just absolutely horrible, where you listen to a 10-minute message before you can even do anything to contact somebody. It's crazy. So speed to lead is critical, and therefore, I would say having an AI phone system and an AI chatbot on the website. And you got to realize, not everybody's going to be comfortable talking to an AI phone assistant. So you've got to but announce it right up front. Say, you've reached the AI phone assistant for company XYZ. If you'd prefer to talk to a human, and give them the option to go to a human, but tell them it's probably going to be a whole lot slower, and you may be put on hold, and we may even have to have somebody call you back within the next day or so. But then also there are people who, are very comfortable, who just want to go online, get a quick answer. They don't want to click through pages on your website to find that answer. They want to go get a quick answer there. And they know that your company probably has the right solution, or potentially has the right solution. A great example is, again, and, to kind of work with the dentist market that I know, a ton more about, and I don't really know a whole lot, but, I would assume a common question that people are going to be asking of dentists are, do you accept my insurance?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to waste time having somebody pick up the phone and answer that? Because every time you are interrupted, you lose 15 to 30 minutes worth of productivity, because you have to get back plugged into what you were working on. That's a hard statistic across the board. So, if you can get a system in place that answers these questions so that it doesn't cause interruption, and it's still providing great customer service and exactly what the customer is looking for, a patient or client, that's a huge win.
Yeah. If I can pile on that idea, man, I had a few clients where we were doing call tracking. These clients had after hours call services, like human after hours call services, that they were paying big money for. And one of them was highly specialized for the finance industry. And, because we were tracking, recording calls, because some of those calls were coming from the channels that we were generating, right? We wanted to make sure we understood, are we generating good leads or not? And so that's one of the things that we do. And so we would audit the calls every once in a while just to see, like, what's the quality of these calls? And bar none, the after hours call answering services. And I was highly recommending to these clients, like, dump those guys, move to AI, because having a consistent answer every single time is far better than the junk they were getting from these services, because these services would get questions asked like, hey, do you do this service? Oh, I don't know. I'll have somebody call you tomorrow, right? Like, you don't know what services they do, right? Or they would mispronounce the name of the company every time they were answering. Or
a lot of that,
they would say, yeah, go ahead.
A lot of that is because they're just answering phones. They're not industry specific. They're answering phones for 15 different companies.
Yeah.
So of course they don't know what this company or that company does.
But like good call centers, they actually have something that pops up on their screen when a certain phone number is rung from a particular client, and it actually shows the client, like what client this is, how to pronounce their name, what services they have, what hours they have. The one that used to irritate me the most, the question people would ask is, are you accepting new clients? And they would say, I don't know. We'll have to have somebody call you back. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? The answer is always yes. So now, like,
yeah.
So like those kinds of questions, you can train an AI. It's all in the training, right? And the monitoring and tweaking. You can create great AI voice answering now. And yeah, as you talked about, Ken, you can always have it now where you can escalate it to a human or have it pushed into a workflow where, if humans aren't available, then it can say somebody will call you back, and it'll create a task for the people on your team to do the follow-up in the morning. Like, it's pretty slick stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the tools I was going to mention was, and I have a hard time really nailing it down to one tool. But one of them that I've been enjoying so much, it's a kind of a love-hate relationship. Video editing is by far the hardest thing to do, I think, for like, unless you're a full-time video editor who you can just steam through these things and you know exactly what the purpose of the video is and you can edit it down really quick. The best tool I've come across, and I think you guys use it as well, is Descript. There are some other tools that are catching up to it a little bit, but Descript has been a leader as far as, you know, it pulls in the video, pulls in the transcript, or transcribes the video. You can actually edit the text like you're editing a Word doc, and it'll, you know, if you remove a part in the text, it'll remove the part from the video. You can change it from, you know, vertical to horizontal format as long as the video can, you know, fit appropriately. And it's got AI built in. So you can say, you know, fix the voice, take out all the ums and ahs and everything. You can even edit it, have the AI edit it for clarity, where it can strip out whole sections that are just kind of, you know, extra sections where people just dragged on a topic for too long. And then, you know, there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there where you can ask the AI to create a description for my YouTube channel. So when you upload it to YouTube, you can connect it to different channels. So that's just a tool I've really found helpful, especially when we do webinars and that kind of stuff, you know, short form videos, just to really pull out clips, do different tasks very, very fast. Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end, guys, but I wanted to see if there was, if you were to tell a small business to stop doing something in 2026 from a marketing perspective, what would that one thing be? And we'll start with you, Ken.
Not acting. Stop not acting. And you know, there are a couple.
That's a funny statement.
It is. There is a cost to inaction, and nobody puts a price to it, but you should. You know, inaction if you're not making an investment in marketing to grow your business, somebody else is. You're losing that opportunity, so you're not getting that money. And oh, by the way, you're just putting it into the hands of your competitors. So they love you for that. So if you want to make your competitors happy, do nothing. The other thing that's kind of closely related to that is and you kind of alluded to this before, Ian, but you know, there's not going to be any clear winner in this AI tool set race, whether it's large language model to just do prompting, whether it's a content writing type of a tool or anything like that. It's much more important to start using and doing with the tool sets that are available today, to think that there's going to be a magic bullet that comes along anytime soon. You know, you're just going to constantly be spinning around in this, waiting for the magic bullet to magically appear and plop in your lap. And you know, that's inaction, and it's very costly. And, you know, I don't know about you, but the typical small business that I talk to, they sometimes take months to make a decision. And it's like, for no apparent reason other than they're just not focused on it. And what they're not doing is they're not putting a price to the inaction and the opportunity cost that they're losing. So stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I can just add to that before I ask you yours, Paul, because this was going to be mine similar to this. And it's if I were to suggest a thing for small businesses to stop doing in 2026, it would be to stop cheaping out on your marketing investment. Just what you said, Ken. You know, I've had some recent discussions with people where they got, frankly, like an unbelievable quote from a business, meaning unbelievably small amount of money to accomplish something very big. And I'm like, you know, it's impossible. Like it is truly impossible to accomplish the big goal that they're trying to do at that amount of money, regardless of whether you're using overseas people, whether you're using AI, like it's just impossible to do. And so we see that all the time in this market, that there are posers, marketing posers who, not that kind of pose, but they have all the right bullet points on their website. They're really good at sales. They say all the right things, but they do not accomplish the goals that people want, which is ultimately to increase leads that are good quality leads that become sales that grow the revenue of the business. I mean, that there by or none, that is, yeah. And then kind of the side angle of that is stop looking for a silver bullet. This has been true forever in marketing. Everybody thinks there's a silver bullet, the one thing I should be doing that will radically change my business. Take a systematic approach and a holistic and a multi-channel or omni-channel approach to marketing, and you will beat your competition. I see it all the time, but it takes smart investment.
Yeah, and we're not saying just pick a tool and run with it because you find it, on the street corner somewhere. It needs to be a tool that has been vetted, and read the reviews. If you're not sure about it, hire a marketing expert to help you understand the pros and the cons, if there's a better or comparable tool that you should look at. But, just get it done. Don't delay just because it's like, oh gosh, I don't know, should I do Facebook? Oh, wait a minute, maybe I should be doing Google Ads. Oh, I don't know, maybe I'll just build a website. Yeah, and by the time you have those discussions with yourself and maybe even other people in your team, before you know it, 3, 6, 12 months have gone by.
All right, Paul, what's one thing you think small businesses should stop doing in 2026?
Well, I think it's not so much about what they should stop doing, because I was going to say stop thinking.
He's just ignoring my question, isn't he?
No, it's I was going to say stop thinking that what you did 5 years ago, 3 years ago works now. I mean, some of it does still work, but I think it's more about realizing that everything has changed drastically, driven by multiple factors. AI is a big one of them, and you have to adapt to the changing world if you want to stay relevant.
Yeah, and something just popped into my head. Boop. But, stop imagining that your business exists in a bubble. I know we've said it before on this podcast, but if you think you don't need to take your competition into consideration in any of your marketing, then you're only fooling yourself and you're giving your competition all the leads you should be getting. So stop doing that. Anything else, guys, before we wrap up?
I just, I can't encourage people enough, and I know it sounds self-serving because we're in this business, but gosh, I've talked to so many small businesses who've just been burned by really bad advice, or getting no advice. It's worth spending some money to have somebody go in and do an assessment of where you're currently at and have them build you a roadmap to get to the future. They may try to sell you services on top of that. That may be fine and dandy. They're probably, if they do it in a credible way, you should be able to take the results of that and use it however you see fit. Hiring your own people, finding another company to do the implementation based on the information that somebody provides you. But you just take advantage of expertise. It's like, if I were to try to build a chimney in my house that was safe, that I wanted my family to be safe, and not worry about carbon monoxide or burning the house down or whatever, I could probably do it. There's a whole lot of stress. There's a whole lot of risk, as opposed to just hiring somebody who knows how to do something like that in the first place, who's been trained and certified, and numerous testimonials and reviews saying, yeah, this person knows what the heck they're doing. It's a symptom of, being cheap, but not taking advantage of your true expertise and watering down what you're really good at. So
good points. Paul, anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, it's just like I said, the world has changed, and I mean, and it has just accelerated in the past year. It's the the pace of change is unbelievable, and I can't stress it enough. You have to keep up with it because if you're not, your competitor probably is.
Yeah, like there's I did a recent presentation on this, that the perception is that marketing's getting easier because of AI, and the exact opposite is actually true. It's only getting more complex because the standards of which people that aren't as skilled at marketing has risen. So there's this kind of higher, lower level of marketing. But to really excel and to beat those people, there are more levers now. There's more signals. There's more involved. AI, to show up in AI, is this whole other, place to show up in. And so to do that, it is more complex.
Yeah, there's a lot more levers to pull.
All right. Well, this has been fan-flippin-tastic, gentlemen. Thank you for sharing your insights with our listeners and viewers. For our listeners and viewers, if you want practical help, this is actually the perfect time of year to really engage a consultant or an agency, because now is the time to get your strategy in place. Now is the time to look at where your marketing investment is if you want to win this year. So take advantage of that. It all starts with a free call, a free discussion to see if one of us is the right fit. So you can find me, Ian Cantle, at Dental Marketing Heroes or outsourcedmarketing.ca. You can find Ken Tucker and Paul Barthel at Changescape Web, and your address is
changescapeweb.com.
There you go. And you can find Jeff Steck at Tylerica Marketing Systems, and I don't know his URL off by heart, which I should. So if you enjoyed today's episode, first of all, smash the subscribe button. And I only do that because Ken gets so excited. Leave us a review, share it with other people, share it with other business owners who can help them unlock their growth potential for 2026. And until next time, folks, keep calm and market on.